Once you've planted, it's important to take care of your new plants in order for them to survive. With a little help in the first few years, you can have a beautiful and fully functioning garden that will be low maintenance in the long run. When considering how to best provide care for your native planting, it's important to consider that the needs and the looks of your planting are going to shift over time. In the first year after installation, your planting will consist primarily of new growth. This will contain mostly leafy green vegetation with few blooms, if any. It is at this point when your plants will need the most care and effort, so it's critical to provide Landcare during the first year. We recommend watering 1 inch per week during the first growing season. Your plants will be looking to grow and spread, and it's essential that they receive the water needed to remain healthy during this first growing season. Also, be sure to pull weeds and make sure to get them while they're small. The 3 pictures you see on this slide are all examples of Siberian elm. I hope it goes without saying that we'd rather pull the developing tree on the left than the mature tree on the right. Your back and your wallet will surely thank you. In the second year after installation, your planting should start to fill in more. While some species may not flower and only show vegetation, more species should start to bloom in comparison with the previous year. Furthermore, your native plants will start to spread and fill out the planted area. In year 3 and beyond, you should be able to see a fully matured planting. Your flowers, trees, and shrubs should fill out the planted area, creating a landscape full of color and life. The mature plants will be far more resilient than they were in previous years. The roots of your plants will be settled deep into the ground, allowing them to capture and retain more water than in previous years. Watering will only be needed during extended periods of time without natural rainfall, or if plants start to show signs of drought stress. The planting should be dense and full of life, leaving less room for weeds to infiltrate and spread. While you should still continue to provide care and maintenance for your planting, you can do so on an as-needed basis, where you periodically weed your planting when you observe undesirable weedy species. We recommend at least 3 weeding events over the course of the growing season. If you weed once on or near Memorial Day, Independence Day, and Labor Day, you should do a good job of capturing early, mid, and late season weeds. To clean up your garden and provide pollinator habitat, we recommend cutting off the duff or the previous season's growth to about 18 inches tall. Try to wait until temperatures heat up a little bit before cutting these plants back. Once you see the dandelions in bloom, you should be good to go. After you cut your plants, we encourage you keep the removed stems in your yard. Many stem nesting bees will use the hollowed out or pithy stems as a nesting site the following winter. Approximately 30% of Minnesota's bees are stem nesting species. Add mulch as needed. Mulch should only be added when you start to see it break down in your planting and there are bare areas of soil. As your planting matures, you will need less mulch. Mulch serves to protect bare soil from weeds trying to infiltrate your planting and helps the soil retain moisture. Divide, transplant, and add new plants if they have died over the winter. It's normal for some plants to die off every year. You should expect at least a 10% turnover rate. When plants die off, observe which species are doing well, as these are good candidates to divide and transplant. Now that we have a basic understanding of when our plants need maintenance, let's look at the finer details of Landcare. We've mentioned that we recommend watering at a minimum 1 inch per week during the first growing season, but it's also important to consider when you water and how watering interacts with different environmental factors. If you can, try to water your plants early in the morning. The sunlight is weak and the ground is cool. This will allow the most water to soak into the ground. If you can't water in the morning, just try to avoid nighttime watering, which can attract pests. Be sure to consider environmental factors when watering. On hot days in the midst of summer, your plantings may require additional water. Remember, it's better to water for a long time every few days than to water just a little bit every day. This helps the water go deeper into the soil and encourages your new plants to grow deep roots in search of water, and will make them more drought resistant in the end. We keep saying to apply 1 inch of water to your planting, but how do you know when you hit that threshold? Placing a rain gauge in your garden can help you keep track of how much water your planting has received. Rain gauges capture water and provide you with the reading in inches. Be sure to pour out the water once per week in order to obtain an accurate measurement of how much water your garden has received. No rain gauge? No problem. You can place an aluminum can in your planting with a line drawn 1 inch from the bottom. This will function the same as a conventional rain gauge. And one final note on watering. Please do not water when it's raining. We love and appreciate our water, so try not to waste this valuable resource by making sure you turn off your sprinkler systems during or in anticipation of a rain event. Oftentimes, the single biggest limiting factor in maintaining a planting is an inability to tell a weedy, undesirable plant from a native plant that was installed intentionally. Learning the specific species in your planting will make it easier to tell the plants from the weeds. We recommend keeping a planting template or a planting plan on hand with you. A planting plan should let you know which plants are in your garden, where they were placed, and when they bloom. You can use this information to help you pick out desired plants from the weedy plants when conducting maintenance. It's important to have the right tool for the right plant. Your hands are your most basic and essential weeding tool. Use your hands, while wearing gloves of course, to pull out many of the weeds that may be present in your yard. Of course, sometimes your hands alone may not be enough to handle all the weedy species present in your garden. Short-handled tools can be very helpful. Some tools, like a soil knife, allow for deeper digging into the soil, allowing you to target specific weedy species that have deeper root systems. Other tools, like a gardening fork, are better suited for loosening the soil, especially in highly compacted areas. Long-handled tools can be great for those trying to lessen the physical labor associated with caring for your planting. A gardening hoe is great for digging below the soil surface to break up the roots of a weedy plant. A claw weeder can be a bit more expensive, but if you don't mind investing in the maintenance of your planting, this tool is great for spot weeding. To use a claw weeder, place the claws around the weed you want to remove. Then drive the claws into the ground by stepping on the foot pedal. Once the claws are firmly entrenched in the soil, tilt back and remove the weedy species. At the end of the day, if you can remember just these 2 things, your planting will thank you. 1. Water your plants at least 1 inch per week, especially while they are establishing. And 2. Pull your weeds at least 3 times per year. If you do these 2 things, your planting should be happy, healthy, and beautiful.